Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to read a paired text. So Superman becomes a star, and then we are going to read superheroes take over the world. Let's take a look at some of the vocabulary we have here in our box down here. So we have economic, which is having to do with money and how it is earned and used. Origin is the point or place where something begins or is created. Disguise, clothes or other things that you wear so that people will not recognize you. Politicians are people who are active in government, and took advantage of means used unfairly for personal gain. All right. The surprising story behind the world's first superhero by Todd Olson. The year was 1938. Americans were in trouble. Millions had lost their jobs. Hundreds of thousands were homeless. It had been like this for nearly 10 years. Things seemed hopeless. But wait, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's the world's first superhero. That's right, the first Superman comic book came out in April 1938. The U.S. was in the middle of the Great Depression. That was an economic crisis. People needed something to make them feel better. They needed someone who fought for the poor and the powerless. Superman was their hero. This is his origin story. In the beginning, Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, who are both pictured right here. They grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. They went to high school together. Siegel did the writing, Shuster did the drawing. They gave their hero a disguise. When he wasn't Superman, he was a newspaper reporter named Clark Kent. As Kent, he was quiet and gentle. As Superman, he would fight for anyone who was powerless. The people's hero. In the 1930s, many people felt powerless. During the Great Depression, 1 in 4 Americans lost their jobs. Millions left their homes to find work. They stood in long lines to get free food. Many Americans felt angry about the problems they faced. They blamed the rich and powerful. They blamed bankers, factory owners, and dishonest politicians. These were Superman's enemies too. In the early comic books, Superman fought evil businessmen. He went after a mine owner who had put his workers in danger. Superman also battled a car maker who made unsafe cars. Years later, Superman would fight mad scientists who wanted to destroy Earth. But at first, he saved people from real-world villains. Rise of comics. Superman helped Americans. He also helped comic book companies. 5 years before Superman, comics were only printed in newspapers. After his arrival, 10-cent comic books flew off the shelves. Each Superman issue sold 1.3 million copies. The biggest comic book companies created many superheroes. DC Comics was one company. It had Green Lantern. He beat up on evil bankers. Batman was another DC hero. He fought criminals in Gotham City. Marvel was another company. It had Captain America, the Submariner, the Human Torch, and more. After Superman arrived, 9 in 10 kids read comic books. A lot of adults did too. Unhappy ending. Siegel and Shuster invented the superhero. They also made a fortune for DC Comics, but Siegel and Shuster never got rich. They had sold Superman to DC. They got paid just $5 a page. A big company took advantage of 2 ordinary guys. Now that sounds like a job for a Superman. All right, let's take a look at this picture, okay? Tough times. People wait in line for bread during the Great Depression. The first Superman comic book is here, and this was created during this difficult time. So we're very much in a difficult time right now. We could really use a superhero, huh? Let's take a look at this paired text. It says, superheroes take over the world. They're everywhere these days. But why? Our world has big problems. There's war, there's disease, there's climate change. It's easy to feel powerless. But in the movies, one superhero can save the planet. Wonder Woman can end a war by killing a god. The Avengers can travel through time to save half the universe. The world loves superheroes. Last year, fans spent more than $6 billion going to superhero movies. And why not? As you eat your popcorn, you leave reality. You enter a fantasy world, and good always wins against evil. But there's another reason we love superheroes. They are who we want to be. We watch Clark Kent become Superman. It reminds us that ordinary people can do great things. We watch T'Challa fight for his throne in Black Panther. It makes us feel brave. We believe we can make a difference in our school or stand up to bullying. These characters help us to be our best selves. They make us want to do what's right. Now, let's pretend that the head of DC Comics just called. He wanted you to create a new superhero. Who will that superhero be? What will he or she fight against? Answer those questions. Your answers might tell you just as much about yourself as they do about your superheroes. Okay? You're going to be answering the questions on the Google form. Make sure you hit submit. Have a wonderful day.